first, I'm gonna talk about 4 issues with Orchid Spring. Okay, first one is if we're gonna talk about the poison mechanic. See, there's a lot of confusion with how do you play A.K.I. You know, it's her neutral's confusing. That's what a lot of players said in the beginning, at least, right? Now we're learning how to use her, but it comes down to the poison mechanic. That's how you use her. You poison your opponent, and plus you have Toxic Blossom. And do we have a reference point? Well, there is a character. There is a character from Street Fighter 5. And we're going to take a look at F.A.N.G's poison mechanic, okay? Let's take a look at this. He has this poison ball V skill. See that poison ball? So if you don't jump that poison ball, you're going to get hit by it. And most players would just accept to get hit by the poison ball. And it wasn't that much of a threat. But yeah, that was the mechanic that F.A.N.G used. Let's get back to the video. So it was very difficult to avoid. And your opponent was more than likely going to get poisoned. And it still wasn't perfect, even at that. Some characters could react to it and punish it with super. Cammy could drill on reaction. It was not perfect. But at least your opponent got poisoned most of the time. Because if they jump, then you're just going to anti-air and set play and so on. So they just take the poison. Now, if we compare the ease of use of F.A.N.G's V skill with A.K.I.'s poison. Here, let's take a look at Orchid Spring. If you're new to the channel or to the game, welcome. Let me just adjust this real quick. Okay. Alright, so her means of poisoning you, of course, apart from the specials that poison you, is Orchid Spring. So if I am here in neutral, I literally have to be here to poison my opponent. Because if I do it from here, I'm just placing the puddle. This is not take the poison. This is let me place the puddle and please walk into the puddle. And it just stays there for a couple of seconds and disappears. Okay. So how am I going to poison my opponent? From this range, I could get jumped in on if I'm not careful. So I'm going to zone from here. This is long range and then I'm going to follow through. Right? That's the strategy with A.K.I. Or I'm going to play footsies right here. So, safe spot would be maybe here, right here. But the utility of it now, it's compared to F.A.N.G's V skill, now it's much harder to poison your opponent. And why do you want to poison your opponent? Well, let's use this as an example. So I set the dummy here. Hold on. Okay, here we go. To do that. Okay, let's try to whiff punish this. Let's say I whiff punish with this. Barely any damage. Compared to what most of the cast can do in this game, and the damage potential corner carry in this game, she doesn't have great options for whiff punishing. See, yeah, there's that, which is okay. And then you could cancel. Right? So on. But, if they're poisoned, you get so much more. See? And if you want a corner carry and get some good Oki, you can do something like this. And then you could also do a safe jump. And you're at least you're getting that corner carry, they're poisoned, and her footsies are now actually threatening. Because a Marisa player is not really going to be threatened if she's not poisoned anymore by this. That's why a lot of people think she's not a good character. Because the damage potential is not there and it's not scary enough. But when they're poisoned, now she becomes a real character, right? Okay. So first issue with Orchid Spring is it's not as the utility of it. It's not as easy to use as F.A.N.G's V skill. They need to do something with it. Now imagine if this could go full screen, or if there were variations like I'm just using my imagination now. But if from here, I could throw out a pollen or whatever, or I could kind of like the level 2 super. If you could control the distance, if I could drop this but further out, now she becomes a better character automatically. So this needs to be fixed. Second is weak footsies. She has weak footsies because of this. So you see how Orchid Spring affects the character entirely. Affects her footsies, and she doesn't. The poison mechanism is heavily affected when you can't poison your opponent in neutral. So, yeah, weak footsies is the second one, and that's because of Orchid Spring. If Orchid Spring was better, her footsies would be better. Third is it's kind of slow. It's about 46 frames. I mean, look. I did set the dummy to this, right? But let's say I just do this from here. Boom. I get hit. And how many characters... I mean, we know there are so many memes on characters with buttons that reach very far. They're hilarious. The cat that Luke memes. So it's scary to do this at this range. It really is. And while you're doing it, they could walk forward and, cancel a low forward or so on. And we know how this game goes, right? So it's too slow from this range. Now, if I could poison you from this range, I don't mind it being 46 frames. From this range, it's a problem. And fourth issue is because it's hard to poison your opponent in neutral. She's being played like Chun-Li or Jury, and those characters are just better when it comes to, their buttons and their damage output, and their buttons are just so much better. Right? So she's like a weaker version of Chun-Li and Jury if you play her without the poison mechanic. Now, there are ways you can poison your opponent. It's not like it's impossible. So if I walk back, I could do this. This is great. But the problem is as someone who spent thousands of hours playing F.A.N.G, is you tend to walk back. Plus, F.A.N.G was charged character. But if you want to zone, because she is a long range character. If you select her in the character screen, it says long range. So she's not meant to fight here. She's meant to zone you and then, control space and then do what zoners do. Then pick and choose how to control the pace and then go on offense, so on, based on what your opponent is doing. So, yeah. I have to walk back, throw this, and then do this. So the utility of Orchid Spring has become too complicated. In a game where, Ken and Luke, they don't care about, even if Orchid Spring was good, they're still going to Unga Bunga, and it's still probably going to be in their favor, with the current state of the game. So that is my video on 4 reasons why Orchid Spring needs to be fixed. And that's it for this video. I'll make more and I'll pinpoint things. This was fresh on my mind, and I wanted to talk about it because I've been playing A.K.I quite a bit lately. I felt like most A.K.I players are not, including myself, are not using this enough. And it would change her as a character, I feel like. So that's it for this video, guys. This is D, and make sure to subscribe and like, and I'll try to make more videos in the future.